What would cause a 14-year-old boy to travel from one side of the country to the other to stab a 15-year-old girl to death on her own doorstep? This is exactly the question the Dutch police had to try and answer in 2012. In the city of Arnhem, two teenage girls considered themselves best friends. Both girls, Winzy aged 15 and Polly aged 16, were born in the Netherlands and had Chinese ethnic roots. Both were popular and highly social, spending a lot of their time with other ethnically Chinese Dutch teenagers at parties. They were outgoing, with many different activities such as competitive chess and theatre. As all teenagers do, they would occasionally argue, but one argument near the end of 2011 went way beyond a petty teen fight and proved to be deadly. Polly had posted a picture on her Facebook that Winzy deemed inappropriate, so she left a comment saying, "OMG, how slutty can you get?" This insult infuriated Polly, who tasked other friends with sending Winzy threatening messages. It didn't seem out of the ordinary for the pair, as most of their friends considered this a joke and assumed things would go back to normal within a few days. This was not the case. A few weeks later, the pair came to blows at a mutual friend's birthday party, with a furious argument occurring and Winzy leaving the party in tears. Renewed anger continued to bubble for Polly as she began to send more and more threatening messages to Winzy, some even claiming that she wished to murder her. The progression of violence in these threats made Winzy fear for her life. Polly was not playing games, however, as she consulted her boyfriend to assist in getting revenge on her former best friend. Her boyfriend, 17-year-old Wesley, had a reputation among their peer group. He'd act the tough guy and claimed to have connections to the Chinese mafia. He was in love with his girlfriend and agreed to help her in the plot. The pair agreed that Winzy had to die for her transgression. Neither were stupid enough to get blood on their own hands, and the pair reached out to 14-year-old Jinghua to carry out the killing. The younger teen was described as insecure and willing to do whatever he could to gain the affection of his peers. Wesley knew this and convinced Jinghua that the group would accept him as one of their own if he carried out the killing for them. Jinghua asked for €1,000 to carry out the killing, but was negotiated down to a shocking €150 and free drinks the next time they went clubbing. Polly helped Jinghua plan the murder by providing details to him about Winzy. She provided her address and her daily routine, so he could find the perfect opportunity to get her alone. She wasn't always confident in her actions though, as she called off the murder several times throughout the end of 2011, only to turn around and call out the hit once again the following day. After a couple of months of yo-yoing with a teenage girl's life, she gave the final call on January the 12th, 2012. Jinghua set off by train to Winzy's home to discover that his victim was not there. Dejected, he returned via train and told Polly and Wesley that he had not been successful. Wesley was furious and threatened to have the boy killed if he didn't murder Winzy on his next attempt. 2 days later, Jinghua received a text from Wesley that he had to kill Winzy at 3 PM after her piano lesson. Dutifully, he set off by train to carry out the task. While en route, he posted an ominous message on Facebook claiming, "Today a girl will die at 3 PM, to which he received only one reply from a girl who exclaimed, "Oh my god." At exactly 3 PM, he rang the doorbell of Winzy's family home. Expecting a small teenage girl, he was instead greeted by a middle-aged man when Winzy's father Chan Nam answered the door. Jinghua claimed to be a friend of Winzy's and asked if he could see her. Believing him, her father went and fetched her to the door. Winzy approached the door confused as, while she may have been vaguely aware of Jinghua due to mutual friends, the two did not know each other. Jinghua told her that he was sorry he had to do this, and then pulled out a knife and began repeatedly stabbing the girl. Her father and brother rushed to see what the commotion was, with her father also sustaining knife wounds, and her brother calling the police. Jinghua fled the scene on foot, dropping the knife at the scene of the crime. Paramedics and police descended on the scene, with both Winzy and Chan Nam being rushed into urgent care. The news instantly picked up the story of a violent stabbing in the quiet country town, and suddenly thousands of people were rushing to comment on the killer's comment from earlier that day. It took just 2 hours for police to find Jinghua hiding in a bush and arrest him at gunpoint. Chan Nam recovered from his injuries, but 15-year-old Winzy died after 5 days in intensive care, having never regained consciousness. It didn't take long for Jinghua to buckle during interrogation and name Wesley as the reason for his attack. The 17-year-old was also arrested, but tried his best to keep Polly's name out of the proceedings. Eventually, the truth always comes out, and a week after his arrest, Polly was also discovered as a key piece of the puzzle and arrested. But not before she could attend Winzy's memorial and happily shouted, "Goodbye, Winzy," in Dutch, which can be heard here. The two older teens tried to blame Jinghua entirely, claiming that they had just joked about the killing, but never actually wanted it to be carried out. Wesley soon turned on Polly and claimed that he was just the middleman, and it was Polly and Jinghua that were actually to blame. In the end, all three were convicted, with Jinghua being convicted of murder and attempted murder, while Polly and Wesley were both convicted for conspiracy to commit murder. Jinghua was sentenced to just a year in juvenile detention centre, followed by 3 years of therapy, and Polly and Wesley received 2 years in the juvenile detention centre. These absurdly low sentences shocked and appalled the nation. All three ended up serving 5 years, with everyone being released in 2017. Jinghua was deemed to be a low to moderate risk of reoffending. However, this proved incorrect, as just a year later he was rearrested for his involvement in a violent robbery. While little is known of Polly and Wesley's whereabouts, with the pair being 19 and 22 respectively. This tragic case tells the story of a teenage spat getting extremely out of hand.